So we're going to begin this week with a print called Grill Front. Now this will eventually go into the lower ring panel number 8. Usual procedure, 0.3 layer height. We'll sort out the smoothing later on. And this will take approximately 6 hours and 20 minutes to print. Obviously depends on your printer. Okay, and this is what you should be end up with. This is the panel, and you get 2 sections to the panel. So this one will go in there. So obviously a little bit of gluing and a little bit of prepare work there. And then you get these parts on the back. These I think are really clever. That goes into there. There is a right and a wrong way. You may notice there's a little knobble there, and it's just the holes there are off center. This is to line it up with the back panel, and then this will just screw into the dome like so. And then these panels will be painted blue, and they will go into there. Obviously some shaping required, and hopefully when it's finished it will look something like this on baby R2. So what we'll do is we'll semi-prepare these later on in the video. Okay, so I've run into a problem, and it's all weather related. The problem being, this is my dome from last week, which I have put loads of filler on. There's actually 2 problems. The first one was that what I've done is actually overkill. I didn't really need car body filler. I could actually have done with filler primer, or I've actually been doing some experiments, and I've used a high build primer, and that's actually worked quite well. What I was worried about with a high build primer was I bought it for priming metal, and I was told that it actually eats into the metal to kind of create a larger surface area to grip to. Now obviously we're not dealing with metal here, so I was worried it might eat into the plastic. So I got a piece of Filaprint and I slapped loads of filler primer on, and it actually worked really well, and I think that's actually going to be our winner. But the main problem I've got is I cannot sand that dome. At the moment I'm only working in a bedroom. So I need to take it outside. I work 6 days a week. That one day I need the weather, and also I need a power supply. It's going to sound really weird, but the only power supply I've got is the guy who lives downstairs on the bottom floor. I need to run an extension cable from his room out of the window. So if he's at work on the one day that I'm off, I can't do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to work on another section of the R2, and I'm going to look at well, as soon as I get the chance to sand that dome I will do, but for now it's going to have to be put on hold. So what's going to happen is we're going to start work on the legs and the feet and any other bits that we can work on, and then all of a sudden you'll watch 1 week and then we'll have sanded everything. So unfortunately that's the problem. Obviously if I had a garage I could do everything in a logical order. So here's this week's. Okay, so unfortunately we're going to have to do 2 massive prints today to try and do a bit of a catch up on another area, but there will be loads to do. The first print that we're going to do is going to be the left top shoulder. Both of these prints are the usual print of 0.3 layer height, etc, etc, and they're both going to take about 15 hours to print. Massive prints, really going to kill our budget this week as well, unfortunately. The second print is the left lower shoulder, which is going to go just underneath the top shoulder. Okay, so this is the left shoulder top. As you can see, it's not a small print, so now you can kind of understand why it's a 15-hour print. Now, you see there's some notches on the side. There will be some panels that go on the side, and you see some dovetail joints there. There are lots of holes, and at this particular point, if you're anything like me, you'd be going, what goes where, what's happening. All will become revealed. There are instructions for this, which is very helpful. Some parts of the build don't have instructions, some parts just don't need instructions. Now this is the left shoulder, and again it's very handy that it's got numbers on them. So obviously if you're building them all together, it's, to be honest with you, I don't think it needs the numbers. They kind of work themselves out. You can see there you've got some dovetails, you've got some more dovetails at the bottom there. These don't really resemble the top one, so I fail to see how the piece that goes there, I fail to see how you'd get it into there. So basically that is going to go into there. So there's going to be a lot of work to do today. And it's going to be done over multiple days. It'll all be done within the same video because obviously it's 1 week. But what we're going to need to do, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes. Now these holes, I'm going to give you a slight sneak preview. These are going to be for magnets. And what's going to happen, these, I don't know if you can't really see it on the camera that well, but we're going to have some magnets in here. Anyone that does miniature painting, miniature figures, will kind of know where this is going. So these magnets will be put into there. Now I don't know if it's intentional or not. Let me just, there we go, right. These magnets are actually slightly smaller than the hole. Now this one's got stuck. There we go. Right. Now what that means for me, I always worry that when you are dealing with magnets, a magnet on magnet, that the magnet will pull it out of the slot. If you super glue these in, you know, you're going to be putting other pieces together and it could pull that magnet out. Now when we're dealing with 1mm, 2mm, 3mm magnets, that's really not going to be a problem. But these are 25 kilogram pull. Let me show you how strong these magnets are. There you go. That's the distance needed to attract that magnet. So if you can imagine what they're going to be like when, let's do it this way, show you better on here actually. Oops, see, that's that strong. Obviously I've got loads of these together, so we're going to do a couple of things today. We're going to assemble this leg, we're going to glue it, and that is going to take a couple of sessions, I'm afraid, and we will be using epoxy glue as well as using the 3D pen. Then what I've decided I'm going to do, I'm just going to drill a couple of holes into there, into the sides. Now the reason I'm going to drill holes is that when I fill it with epoxy, the epoxy is going to fill into the hole. It's not going to fill this whole lot with glue, just a little bit. So obviously if you put a plug into something, that plug can pull out. If your plug goes in like that, then obviously it's going to lock in better. So we're going to be putting 6 magnets into here. We're going to assemble this and we're going to put six magnets in, and then yeah, and then we'll maybe give it a bit of, we'll see what happens. We'll judge it as it goes, and then what we'll do is each week we will build a little bit of the leg, and then hopefully by the time we're finished, left leg, that's this side, our leg will look something like this. Now I will confess, the more I build this R2, the more I realise that this is actually, it's fairly accurate, but it's actually quite, there's a lot of details. This part here is completely different from the real R2, as you would expect for the smaller scale model. This is primarily designed as an alarm clock. This is designed as an R2D2, so there's going to be differences, but there still is a very good gauge. So all of this is going to come in. All of this is fairly accurate. There's going to be details on the side there and details there. Okay, so let's crack on. Okay, I'm going to start off, before I put this together, I'm going to be putting the magnets in. Now, you are going to need, I'll tell you a funny story, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But then obviously you're going to need 6 on the other side. And I actually ordered, well, I got mine from a company called Magnet Express. They used to be known as First for Magnets. Now they sell them in 20, so obviously I needed 6. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll get 20. There'll be some left over. And then later on I realised, yeah, I'm going to need 12. And then I'm like, brilliant. After they got delivered, I suddenly realised, oh yeah, we've got the right foot as well. So I've had to order some more. I mean, I don't need the right foot ones yet. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to be putting 6 magnets in. Now, this is the way I'm going to do them. You don't have to do them the same way. The first thing is, doesn't matter whether these go in this way or that way, they all need to be the same. Now, I'll give you a very quick science lesson. It's not going to be brilliant because I'm not sciencey. These obviously attract each other, and that's the whole reason why we have magnets. If you were to put them, say that one in that way and then this one in the wrong way, they actually repel. It's to do with north poles and south poles. I'll be honest with you, I don't understand them, but this is, you just can't get them together if they're the wrong way. If they're the correct way, you can see how they really want to go together. Look, see, that goes on its own. So first thing we need to do is we need to make some kind of marker so that we don't get them the wrong way round. Now, when I put magnets in, what I actually do is I stick in lots of them together, so like this. It just gives you something to grip. Putting one magnet in is fiddly, but if you put, say, 3 or 4 in, they go in a little bit easy. You see, I can get that one in okay. And then obviously once that first one is stuck down, you'll pull them out. That bottom one will stay in because that's glued in, and the top 2 will come out. The second thing I've noticed, because these are so strong, if you are, once you get to this bit, this is going to be quite awkward. So obviously we're going to put our magnets in like this. Because they're so strong, I don't know if you can see those magnets moving on their own. It's going to become very difficult to put this one in. You see that they all jump. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put these 3 in first. Then I'm going to do these two top ones. Hopefully then this one will be glued in enough, or these 3 will be glued in enough for us to handle this one. If they're not, then we'll wait another day to do it. So the first thing I want to do, I'm actually going to use this one first, because I don't know if you can see, but the edgings come off. So I'm going to do this one first to make sure I get the top and the bottom always correct, I'm going to shove a load of masking tape on the bottom, just to make sort of like a handle really. So what this means is, because these are masking taped off, we're always going to take from the top. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a permanent marker, and I'm going to mark an X on the top, so that what we're going to end up doing is we're always going to glue X down. So the X will go into there like so, and then that will go into there, because we're going to break these off into threes, which are going to be easier to handle. Now, the first thing I want to do is, because this is a flat surface, I want to make it bumpier. Now, by coincidence, the infill that I use is what's called cubic subdivision, which means that rather than just laying infill on top of each other, it sets it at an angle, so it actually creates diamonds inside. So if we actually drill into there and then pour something in, it's only actually going to just fill in a little bit, so that's going to work in our favour. So what I want to do now is, in each of these holes, I'm going to get my drill, I'm going to get a nice big drill bit, and I'm going to drill 3 holes in the corner. So it's going to go in something like that. Whoops. In fact, actually 2 will probably do it. There we go. And yeah, let's do 2. So what is hopefully going to happen is, when we pour the resin into there, it'll just pour in like so. This is either going to work, or I've completely buggered it all up. Obviously don't want to go through the side walls, but there we go. So what I will now do is I will just get something flat, for example a screwdriver. In fact, actually my tweezers will probably work better, and I'm just going to get out all those rough bits. So hopefully, I mean, I've never used this 2-pot epoxy, I'll be honest with you. It might just bond to the surface absolutely fine, but I just want to give it a bit of as much roughness as I can, just to increase the surface area to bond to. Right, so that's all out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get one, not that one. Oh, these magnets are hard to work with. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a magnet into each hole, just making sure that it goes below the surface, which that does. That one doesn't actually sit straight, so that means I just want to pick more of that out. That's fine. So long as I can get each magnet below the actual level, which that one isn't. I might have made this a bit too rough. Okay, I'm happy with that. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a little bit of resin, epoxy, sorry. It might even be resin. What am I using? 2-part epoxy resin, and I'm going to place enough in just to make it stick, and then once that's dry, I'm going to go in and put a little bit on the top. Right, excellent. So what we need now is we need to make our blocks of magnets. So this is one that's got an X, and I've taken 3 off. I feel 3 is going to be easier to work with. I could use 4, 5, however many I want. And then it's really hard to find where to put these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the next one we make an X, take 3 off, make another X, 3. The clicking that you can hear is where I'm sticking these magnets to a metal shelving. That's the 5th one, and that's the 6th one. Right. So these can go away now. Anything metal is just fair game to it. Right, so never used this before. So this whoops, it's just come flying off. Right, so what I gather, it's like a syringe. You just place a little bit on, and that doesn't want to go. There we go. There's probably way too much on there. I think this is probably designed to all be used, but in one go, but that's fine. Right, so we'll make sure that's mixed together. So right, so what I want to do is just pour a little bit into there. Apparently this will takes about 24 hours to cure. I actually want to do that one first. I'm going to make sure I push it into some of the holes that I've made, and then we'll take our first set of magnets. The X is on the top, and I'm going to place that into there, making sure I've not got too much, because I don't want to stick the second magnet in. So next one. It's me doing a voiceover, and I'll probably actually end up speeding it all up later on. There you go, that's it. Just going to put a bit of masking tape there just to hold it into place. That doesn't want to sit level. Best idea, was it? Right, and then I'll just do the last one. So I've let that set for about 10 minutes, and we know it's set enough because if we get a few magnets and we pop them on, which they go on okay, and we pull the magnets out, you see it leaves that one behind, so that's in strong enough. But I'm just going to take that just a stage further. This is probably going to be overkill, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix up some more resin and I'm going to put it over the top, and then once I'll leave it overnight. Once it's set, I'll then sand it down so it's all nice and level. So we'll pop some resin in, put plenty in because we know we're going to use a lot more than we used last time. And then what we can also do, there we go, that's just coming out, that is oozing out. If I could just pull back on it, I don't know, I've never used this before. There we go, pull back on it, that should save it from coming out. So we get our little mixery thing. I tried cleaning it with kitchen roll and it obviously didn't work. Don't mix something, wipe something with paper when it's all sticky. So give that a good mix, and we're just going to get a little bit on, pop it in, and we'll just wipe that over like so. Make sure we completely fill it. And then this one, this has got a bit of an odour to it. I don't know if that's bad. Maybe I should be wearing some kind of respirator. So you probably don't need to do this, but it also gives us, that's way too much on there, gives us a good gauge, because I'm going to use this to glue the two parts together. And I think it is fairly strong. It's holding in a magnet that's got a 2.5 kilogram pull to it, so if it can hold 2.5 kilograms, it should hold the plastic together. Right, and I am making a bit of a mess of this, but I don't think it's a major problem. And then hopefully that will pile it up over the magnet, and I think it's safe to assume then that that's not going to come out. And this, because it's a bit of a liquid, I hope it's going to kind of self-level a little bit. There we go. And that's quite a lot in there, and that's quite thick. So I think this said something like a 4-hour dry time. So I'm going to leave it overnight, and we'll come back to it tomorrow. I'll see if I can get a close-up of that. You can't really see, because you can see that it's shiny. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to separate these. I don't want these to stick wrong. I could glue these now, and I'm not going to. The reason I'm not going to is because once I glue them, I want to clamp them as well. So we'll leave these overnight and we'll come back to them tomorrow. So I know I said I was going to do this, that and the other. However, I've just noticed the length of the time of the video, so I'm actually going to wrap it up there. So what we'll do is we'll do some more work next week. We have done an awful lot this week, probably a little bit too much, So what we'll do is obviously we'll do all the little LEDs and all the little bits we're going to start doing every week. I'm finding the amount of workload is actually increasing every week, possibly a little bit too much. So I'm going to look at ways of slowing it down a little bit. You know, we've still got another 70 odd weeks before I want to finish this, and even if I don't get it done within 100 weeks, that's not the end of the world. It's just a rough estimate. I mean, I say some people take an awful lot longer. Some people get this done very quickly. I'm aiming to do this just for a few hours each week, so it might actually be a tall order getting it done in 100 weeks. So I'll leave it there. We'll go on to the costings and I will see you next week. So a big spend this week, I'm afraid. We start the week off with £56.35. We started off with the grill front, which cost us £2.10. Now, as I explained last week, I really don't know how to cost these LEDs. They work out about a penny a bulb, plus a little bit of wire, plus some solder. So I'm just going to make life easier for myself, and I'm just going to call them 25 pence. I think 25 pence is probably overestimating them by quite a lot. Next we have the two shoulder joints, the left shoulder and the left lower shoulder. They came to £11.31, which is made up of £5.62 for the left shoulder and £5.69 for the left lower shoulder. Now the magnets weren't cheap. They were bought in packs of 20 and they worked out 80 pence each. You might be able to get them cheaper, but I paid £4.80 for 6 of them equivalent. And then what I've not shown you, it's the usual thing that I'm doing every week, is with Ring 2 P17B. That came to £1.43. So we've actually spent about 2 weeks worth of budget here at £19.89. But this is the beauty of having a kitty that we're allowing to build up. You know, we've come across a problem, so to get things moving or keep things moving, we've just dipped into that budget, but we're still left with £46.46.